This tax refund season, Metro PCS has an offer so good you'll want to shout it from the mountaintops.
Switch to Metro PCS, and get two 4G LTE phones for free.
Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free 4G LTE smartphones from brands like Samsung and LG. Only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. After instant rebate. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to TimeToPlay.com's Empower Half Hour. My name is Doreen Guma. I happen to be sick, courtesy of my husband. I'm the founder of the Time to Play Foundation, which is a not-for-profit organization that is an advocacy organization to help people learn what they need to know so they can enjoy life. So online with me this morning for Happiness Week, and I am happy, I'm just sick, is Rebecca Norrington, who is one of our happiness specialists on the Foundation's team. And Rebecca's calling in all the way from California this morning, so it's 6:30 a.m. bright and sunny, I'm sure, out there. Good morning, Rebecca. How are you? Rebecca? Uh-oh. I hope she's there. I have her, queued in. So hopefully she'll be able to hear us in order that she can help carry this conversation this morning, because my voice is, really, really not good. But, Rebecca, if you can hear me, I cannot hear you, so just call back in. So in the meantime, I'll talk about what the foundation is and why we do the Empower Half Hour. So everybody, we believe, has power within to make the best life possible. And unfortunately, in our society, we hear so much negative. We hear so many horror stories. We are pushed into despair a lot of times because of our circumstances. Here she is again. Let's try. And good morning, Rebecca. Can you hear me now?
Hi. Yeah, I could hear you. You couldn't hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you. Good morning. I'm so happy you're with us.
I started off by saying you said something so important and so profound. You said, I'm sick, but I'm still happy. And that is what this whole happiness is. Happiness, my definition is I am at peace, the definition of happiness, but my definition is I am at peace regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. So just the fact that you said that is really, really an example of what you teach, of what I teach about. It's not about the circumstances. It's about really, how are you feeling? Are you at peace with yourself and the world?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree.
So how can you be sick and happy? Because the audience wants to know.
Well, I have a choice, and we talk about this all the time. I talked to a man yesterday, lovely, lovely man, who is choosing to still be unempowered, and that's our choice too. So we can feel that the world has crashed down on us, and you know what? We all have the power and the strength to pick ourselves up and move forward. We just have to stop a second. I actually told him, and Rebecca knows, I tell people, make a stop sign, and when you have those thoughts, look at it. And it takes a long time, or at least until you're ready to make the shift. So, you know what? I could feel miserable. I could stay home. I could wallow. But I actually came to the office not to contaminate anybody. I'm going to stay at least 4 feet away from anyone. But I am here. I took my Dayquil. I'm going to make the best of the situation. I internally, or in my brain, feel fine, like that there's nothing that's going to stop me from living my life.
Let me share something, because you're saying so many things that our audience really needs to hear. You said it was a choice, and see, this is the thing. I was listening to you, and you said it's your perspective, and it is a choice. You know, perspective is everything, and our perspective, if you don't feel good in any situation, all you need to do is change your perspective. In other words, just look at that same situation with different eyes, and then count on things that you are grateful for. In other words, we were taught that, being sick, now I don't feel good, now I'm miserable. But that's not necessarily the case, and it's not the truth. And you are giving a perfect example. Did you hear what happened to me 2 weeks ago, Doreen Guma?
I don't know. Maybe. Sometimes I don't see your stuff posting on my Facebook. But what happened to you 2 weeks ago, Rebecca Norrington?
Well, listen to this. And I'm okay physically. I'm okay. I got hit by a car.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Did you hear about that?
No, maybe I didn't hear about that, because I would have definitely reached out. I'm so sorry.
No. Now you're giving the example of a programmed response. I'm so sorry.
No, it's actually truth, because, quite frankly, you're like one of my closest people, and I would certainly be concerned. So how did you get hit by a car? What happened?
Well, see, hold on back. Now, listen. You can hear my voice, and you can hear the way I'm telling this story. And I haven't even shared the story with anyone. Three people know that I got hit by a car, and those are the people in my Importance of Happiness class. Actually, 5 people know now. Importance of Happiness class. I told them the day after, because I gave this example. I said, what if you lost your wallet? What if you got a bill in the mail and it's $2,000 more than you thought, and now you have to scrape around for the money? What if your parent died? And what if you spilled coffee on your white suit and everything happened in the same day? Would you have a bad day? Would you have a miserable day? And they all raised their hand and they said yes. And I said, what if you got hit by a car?
Oh, my
God. And listen, Doreen, I wasn't in a car. I was walking. It was walking. So let me just tell the story really quick, because it is what I'm talking about, how you started the show. So I just got out of the gym, and I teach aerobics. This was 2 weeks ago Wednesday. Actually, it was a week before my son's birthday, and I didn't even tell him, because I know that he would get concerned, and he would.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's nothing. Yeah. So one of the things, be conscious. For me, I'm conscious about what kind of news I share and what kind of reaction I know that I will get. And I, sharing that reaction, I'm fine, but so I'm conscious of what things I share. So I'm walking across, and I'm in the parking lot, and it's raining in California. Believe it or not, it's raining, and it was between 5:40 and 5:50 in the evening, and I know that because I just finished teaching at 5:30. And so I was walking in the parking lot, and I'm walking across the aisles, and this woman in the car was turning into the aisle. She was turning left into the aisle, and she was distracted. Either she was texting or she was yelling at her kids in the back seat. And I looked and I said, she's not going to stop now.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and so I started running. And then the second thing I did, I started screaming. Because
oh, my gosh.
Now stop it, Doreen. Stop it. And I started screaming. And then I couldn't run fast enough, and so she clipped me on the driver's side, the headlight on the driver's side, knocked me to the ground. I fell on my knee, my hip, and my hand, and it was really very, very painful. And so she jumps out of the car. Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Are you okay? And that was the first time I said, I don't know if I'm okay. I was basically in shock. Okay, fast forward. I have a bruised knee. I have a bruised hip. My hand is actually the worst. But let's cut to the day, that same night. One of the things I started thinking about was, why is this happening? I'm a happiness specialist. Why? And so then I started thinking about the incident, and I said, can you imagine if you had a video on my face At the time, right before the car was coming, and I could realize that the car wasn't going to stop, and my eyes had to get really, really big, and then I start scurrying around like, just jumping around and running and screaming. It had to have been a hysterical scene. So I started laughing about it. Now, I wasn't injured. I wasn't under the car, and who knows if I would have been able to laugh with that. But I found humor in it. So, in other words, and I have to say, the reason why my perspective shifted so quickly is because practicing shifting your perspective, and you said it is a choice. So I can look at it as, okay, what a bad day, or I can look at it, okay, what is it that I need to learn? What is it? What is something good that's coming out of it? Well, again, guess what? I blame myself, because if I had been more alert, I could have stopped and I would have seen the car coming. So, the whole thing, the bottom line, the moral of the story, the lesson in the story is, even if you're hit by a car, you can still be at peace and still be content with life and everything that's happening. And guess what, Doreen? She was a nice lady. She was very nice. She was very concerned. She was very nice. She was very attentive. What can I do? What do you need me to do? On and on and on. So that was my evening on Wednesday, the 18th of February.
That's crazy. Well, you know what, and you're 100% in, and people might think that both of us are kind of crazy, but, we can allow it to destroy us. You could have wallowed, you could have been upset, it could have ruined the next days and days and days. I mean, thank goodness you weren't seriously hurt, because, but that's the same thing like I ride a motorcycle. Every day somebody tells me why I shouldn't. Well, you know what? That's not the right attitude. There's no reason to stop doing anything that you love. Because look at Rebecca just walking in the parking lot after teaching her class. Well, we can stop walking in the parking lot. We can stop going out of our house. My mom told me a story once that was really creepy years ago, and I never forgot it. That somebody went to a fortune teller and they told them they were going to die, and they stayed in their house because they were scared, and a picture fell off the wall and hit them in the head and they died. I don't know if this is true or if this is not, and I was probably 3 years old when she told the story, but it stayed with me. Do you paralyze yourself from, and hide yourself and not do something because somebody says? And if we listen to other people or the way that society would dictate, the reaction that you had is not normal. People would have, oh my gosh, that could have been a devastating, well, I mean, seriously, you got hit by a car, but it could turn into one of two ways. I had this discussion yesterday, like I said, with a person. When you have past experiences, we all have had past experiences. That was the book we wrote, If I Knew Then What I Know Now. Our self-help industry is a $12 billion industry, and what we're trying to do here is shift the thinking. Yeah, shit happened. Rebecca got hit by a car. I got a cold. Stuff happens. A parent could have physically abused you. You could have had a boss that was horrible. You could have been married to somebody who screwed you. I mean, there's so much that could have happened. You could have, we could talk about all the stuff that happens in a life experience that could be negative. And it's our choice of what to stop sign, take the stop sign. We could dwell on it and it could destroy us, or we can move forward and make our lives the best it can be from today. So our book is called If I Knew Then What I Know Now. If you go on timetoplay.com, you can see that there's a sample read. Rebecca wrote an amazing chapter on happiness and, just so powerful. So
let me share share something else that you said, because I listened to you very, very intently, and this is really very important. We were all programmed to use labels, good, bad,
Indeed.
positive, negative. And so always using labels, it actually, you can't have a label without a judgment about that label.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I practice, and I eliminate using any kind of labels, and even that day that I got hit by a car, it was not a good day, it was not a bad day. It was an experience. It was an experience that I had in my life, and there was no judgment attached to it. So I want to encourage the listeners to just practice eliminating labels. Oh, it was a good, it was a bad, it was negative, it was positive. Because one of the things that will add, that will subtract from your happiness is using labels. And so I forgot about this, Doreen. So then now this is the ultimate. So I pretend, or I visualize this headline news. Happiness specialist Rebecca Norrington gets hit by a car.
But she's not devastated. And
Which
she's not wallowing.
But isn't that funny?
Forward.
I mean, that is a really funny headline.
But you know what? It's just an.
Why aren't you laughing?
Because I'm sick. No, but it's just part of the experience, and it's sometimes we get tested, as dumb as that might sound, on how is our reactions going to be. I mean, and Rebecca's been practicing this for a long time. And it's not an overnight shift. And this is our topic of how to eliminate your buttons being pushed. And these are really great examples of what we're speaking of today, of how we can allow something to, devastate us almost. I don't want to say that's not a good word, but I hope people understand what I'm trying to convey. Or we can allow it to be a stepping stone, or we can allow it to shift what we're going to do next. So one of the things that is important, and labeling is actually in the book. I think everything in the kitchen sink is in the book. We did this book, If I Knew Then What I Know Now, and how many times do we say that or think it in our lifetime? And unfortunately, at 50 years old now I am, and I know Rebecca's a little older than me, but we learned, half our life. After half our life. Not that that's a bad thing either, but I have created a program that thankfully I was able to do a trademark on, because I'm very proud of it, called PreInvent Your Life. And that's the same thing, being prepared and pre-inventing what is our next best step. Pre-invent your life, and hopefully this will be able to assist our youth to have the best quality of life ever. I did a statistical review. Our average life expectancy is 78.4 years. How do we want to spend the majority of our life? Do we want to spend it in despair? I talked to a man that was over 60 years old yesterday. He's in despair. How do we want to spend our life? We are meant to be happy. We are meant to be here to enjoy our life experience. I truly believe that, and that's in the book too. But
well, let me jump in there too, because I want to make sure that the listeners really understand, wherever you are in your life right now, wherever you are in your life, you are supposed to be there. You are experiencing whatever you're experiencing for reasons, and that reason is this world is so set up so perfectly that all of your experiences are, believe it or not, are working for you. This world, this universe supports you, even though it might look a certain way, or even though it might feel a certain way. And wherever you are, you can make shifts. But let's not look at this and, I've got to eliminate labels for my life forever. No, let's start very, 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 very small. Because one of the things that used to keep me in a big tizzy was I wanted bigger things, bigger goals, as opposed to small baby steps in other words, just practice eliminating labels in your life for maybe a half hour a day or an hour a day. Very, very small steps. Practice taking deep breaths, just being aware and being conscious of what you're doing and what you're saying and how you're feeling for maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes a day. Really start with small steps. And what Doreen said was very true, is that it does take time. Patience is very, very important to practice, because you can't be impatient and happy at the same time. So there's a lot of things to practice, but just start off really teeny tiny and be okay with where you are and be okay with that person in the mirror. It's really about acceptance, accepting self, and accepting your life and in the moment.
I agree. So let's do two things. I want to, because we are almost out of our time this morning, we try to keep our Empower. We are. It goes so fast, Empower Half Hour, because I know people don't have time. So if we make it like too long, people won't, listen. So, but let's discuss two things. Firstly, bad. So I'm a New York State Department of Health Diabetes Prevention Counselor, and I teach diabetes prevention. And my people have been here. This is the third year I've been doing this. And we had to totally get rid of the word bad. Bad. I did bad because our society teaches us this good or bad. And nothing is bad. There is no bad food. We just have to make the choice of which foods to choose. So this is a tangible example. If we consider a food being good or bad. Food is fuel for our body. We have to choose what is the best fuel to make us feel the best we can feel, because we're like an engine of a car. If we put, crappy gas in with water in it, the car's going to break. But if we put good fuel in, the car's going to run great. So this is the same concept between, the bad. So this is a tangible example. When we label stuff bad, it makes us feel bad. If I say, I did bad today, I didn't do my diet today, which is, again, another word, diet, the word die is in it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like how it's true. Did you ever hear that? But it's true. Like, who invented this stuff? Like, realistically, it's what we're doing, our choice to make our life the best that it can be. But the second thing, and regarding our topic of this day, how to eliminate your buttons being pushed. If you know that you're in a situation, whether it's at work or with your family or whatever, we have a choice, and Rebecca is great at talking about this, and she's going to do that, on how we react or don't react to something we know. We know that when we go to work, there's that supervisor that's going to push our buttons, or that family member that's going to push our buttons. But what is it? It is our choice on how we react. We can't control anyone. And this, honestly, I learned from Rebecca. I can't control anyone else in my life. I can't control the behavior of anybody in my life. Who can I control? I can control me. So go for it, Rebecca.
Well, you just brought up a situation. I just was transferred to a new section, so I'm working in a different section now at my office. And I've been assigned to work with two totally different polar opposite attorneys. One is the sweetest, most gentle, quiet woman in the world, and the other one is a raging personality, energy that just no temper, no patience, big temper, a lot of foul language. Basically, he's the old me. It's really interesting how the universe puts me with these different people. And when this was maybe 3 weeks ago, I was assigned to him. And when I was first working with him, I did this dance back and forth. I would give him what he gave me, and I got to a point where it didn't really feel right. So now I'm shifting it up. And now, if you listen, don't tell anybody, Doreen, Guma, and don't tell anybody, audience. But if you really want to to hurt somebody that is bothering you or annoying you, that's maybe a little mean or gruff or inconsiderate, you know what you do? You kill them with kindness.
Indeed. Oh, my gosh. Indeed,
Yeah.
you do.
Yes, but there's another element to it. There's another element. So you don't give attention to that behavior, whatever that behavior that they are demonstrating. There is no attention to it. It's like you don't see it, like they're invisible, but you're always kind to them. And when you are kind to somebody and you do not give them that energy of attention, oh my goodness, they hurt, they're destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they're going to start changing and stopping that behavior.
Well, no. It's really not about them changing. It's about you taking power and you doing what is good for you and your soul. And let me say a really quick example. This is really fast, and you can go on YouTube and find it. Do you know who Gary Ridgway is?
No.
Gary Ridgway was called the Green River serial killer. I know, I'm happiness specialist now. I'm talking about serial killer. So he killed, and I think it was either Washington or Oregon. It says Gary Ridgway, and you just go on YouTube and you say Gary Ridgway crying, Green River murderer crying. You just search that. It's a 2-minute clip, really, really short. And, of course, after he was caught over 20 years, I think he killed 60 to 70 women. And at his sentencing, the family of the victims just cursed him and said, "We want you to die in hell, burn in hell, you're despicable, you're a monster," on and on and on. And this man never showed any remorse, never showed any feelings. And this one man whose daughter was killed by this man, by Gary Ridgway, got up and he said, "You know what?" He said, "Mr. Ridgway," he says, I cannot condemn you. I cannot say all those things to you." He says, "What I can do is forgive you." And this serial killer, I want you to search it. This serial killer broke down in tears because this man showed him kindness. I'm getting chills now. And so that is your weapon of choice, my dear people, kind. And when you show kindness to people, you're actually showing kindness to self. But in reality, it is a universal way to stab somebody and make them hurt.
No, I appreciate that. And something I've learned very recently, I met this woman, Teresa, and I had gone to a meditation which she had conducted, and she spoke of thing called the Ho'oponopono prayer, Ho'oponopono, and it's something that started in Hawaii. You could Google it. That has been around for centuries, and it's very interesting. They actually had this doctor, Dr. Yu Len, who cured criminals without meeting them, by praying over them. The prayer is, "I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you." And if you know that you're going to be in a situation like going to a meeting, going to something where you know that somebody's going to push your buttons, if you say this before, it prepares you and it gives you peace. And I actually have tried it. Like I have this one group of people that actually is very, I don't know how to explain them, but they're
challenging.
toxic. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And you know what? I did it on my way. Just repeated it over and over in my mind. And they forgive them for being as they are. It's not my fault, again, that they are in the situation where they are. Some people just don't know how to handle their life situations, and they take it out on other people. I mean, the extreme of this man killing 60 people, technically, I'm sure that something in his childhood set him up with this hatred that caused him to do his actions. And you know what? That's part of the PreInvent Your Life concept, how we can create tips and tools for our youth so that they can avoid being. And in the beginning of the book, if I knew then what I know now, the book was intended to give people insight so that they weren't 40, 50, 60, 80 years old and hating their life or having regrets. And you know what? It is up to us to determine whether we want to love or hate our life. And in as much as that there's shit happens to everyone, it is still our choice to making the life or our day as best as it can be. So with that, is there anything else that we want to throw out there, Rebecca?
Well, I do want to just say this, that if you have somebody that pushes your buttons, it is your job and your responsibility to eliminate your buttons, because people are going to be who they are. And Doreen, you just gave a perfect example of her practicing. This, what I'm talking about, is just practicing a skill, practicing something that you're going to be doing differently. And just like Doreen said, she started with a prayer, with a meditation, and then she felt better. So it's about trying and trying things that work for you, trying things that fit you. We are all different. We're as different as our fingerprints. And so what might work for me might not work for Doreen, but you, as a beautiful, wonderful person that you are, it's up to you to do the work. It is the responsibility of the person in the mirror, and you have the power to change not what happens to you, but your perspective and your attitude about what happens to you. You know, Abraham, my favorite quote is, "You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey," and it is really about the journey, moment by moment, and in every moment you can choose how you want to feel.
Absolutely, and
the last thing I want to say is that I do have a radio show also heard on Sundays called Ask Rebecca Anything, and so I invite people to listen to the show. It's on Blog Talk Radio, Reality Spirituality, and with that, I'm good.
All right, excellent. And listen, Rebecca, just so you know, Manny, who does programming for our website, timetoplay.com, which is a hub of resources for people to enjoy life, we have a brand new event calendar that, if it's not up today, it will be up tomorrow. So please, I would ask for you to load it up in there. It's going to be a very powerful calendar, so people will be able to really know that this is occurring. So I'm really excited about that, to understand. You know what? It might sound super harder than it needs to be, and I want people to understand we're not out of our mind. It just takes a long time for us to shift our thinking, and you have to believe that you can, and you have to believe, take it one step at a time, and each life experience that comes your way, just try to start to shift, and try to start to shift, and at some point, you will start to feel at peace, and that's what Rebecca and I are speaking on. You know, it sounds harder than it is. I talked to a woman yesterday who has a very negative experience with an ex-husband. I've had a very negative experience with my father. Same principles. We can let it destroy us, or we can move forward. And putting into perspective, Patrick, I'll be right there, putting into perspective that we have the opportunity to move forward in the way that we want to. So, with that being said, no matter who throws crap in your path, make it the best you can. And stop. Make a stop sign. When you start having those really bad thoughts, look at that stop sign. And try what is the next best option. What is the best option that you can do at that very moment? Like when Rebecca got hit by a car, she could have totally freaked out on the woman, and she could have had the next week of terrible, terrible days and complained to everybody that this happens, but she didn't. She made a choice to do it different. So I thank Rebecca for all her knowledge and expertise that she's given me over these years, and I really have learned a lot, and I thank her. And thank everybody for joining us today. If you have any questions, we always have a phone number. You could call 631-331-2675, or you can email info@timetoplay.com. And thank you, Rebecca, for joining us, and have a great week.
This tax refund season, Metro PCS has an offer so good you'll want to shout it from the mountaintops.
Switch to Metro PCS, and get two 4G LTE phones for free.
Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free 4G LTE smartphones from brands like Samsung and LG. Only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. After instant rebate. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.